Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we spotlight blue-collar entrepreneurs, trade people, business leaders who turn hard work into impact and innovation. Today, I'm joined by Rob Broadhead, a veteran software architect, a mentor, and founder of ROB Consulting podcast. Rob has spent over 30 years in helping business build smarter systems and modernize their operations and turn technology from a cost into a competitive advantage. Rob, it's really an honor having you on the show.
It's an honor being here. And just, stumbling over developreneur is a little bit as very common as DEVELPRENEUR. And it's if you're looking for building better developers is probably the easier way to say it and find it.
Wow, thank you so much, Bob. So, Bob, what was it like growing up for you?
Oh, wow. Growing up, for me, actually, because like I said, I've been doing this for a few years. I'm not exactly super young, but I was like, it was pretty cool from a technology point of view. What sort of formed me was that it was the early days of computers really becoming something that people saw like in their homes and things like that. I remember when the first home PCs showed up, and so I grew up in a town called Memphis, Tennessee, which is pretty decently sizable. And so it was, I'm not like totally a city boy. It wasn't a big city, but it definitely wasn't a small city either. So we, grew up and like wasn't quite what they talk about here. We have like the white picket fence and stuff like that, but it was pretty much a neighborhood with a lot of other families with kids my age. So it was a very good childhood and growing up experience. And as I got into high school, into high school, it was very much college preparatory. And so it was very much put me on the right steps then to go into college and to step into my career.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Such a lovely growing up. So, Rob, you have been in tech and business for over 30 years. What first drew you into the world of software and entrepreneurship?
Actually, both. It's interesting. Software initially, it was what drew me was the solving problems. I like to do that. I always liked puzzles. I like mysteries. I like all of those things. I've always liked that the mental challenge involved in figuring out a problem and defining a problem and solving a problem. And from an entrepreneur side, it really that was just like I think it's a natural growth. Is the software allows me to it was the tools to solve problems, but the entrepreneur side is actually searching for problems. Is going out there and looking at situations and figuring out how you can really. I guess this problems almost seem stronger. It really is. It's just finding out how to improve a situation, finding challenges that people run into, find a way to make that work better. That's then the problem that you solve is how to do it better.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So, looking back, what was one pivotal moment that shaped how you approach leadership and innovation?
Wow, I don't know. One moment is probably pretty tough, but I think there's something that stuck with me that was years ago that really set my philosophy for coaching, for mentorship, and stuff like that. And I was coaching young children, a sport called ice hockey, and there was another coach that was talking about what kids of this certain age. He's like, well, they can't do that. They're not capable of that yet, and that's why he didn't coach them in that. He did train them in that. He didn't. He just said, well, I'm not going to bother. And yet I knew kids of that age that actually had those skills, that understood that. And it struck me very much that in leadership and mentorship and a lot of these things, it's like if you trust people, if you trust the team, if you give them the opportunities to succeed or fail on their own instead of just constraining them to, well, you're probably going to fail, so I'm not going to let you do it, then it does allow them to grow. And you'll find people I've often seen people exceed expectations in a wide variety of areas.
Wow, this is really amazing. I think they just speak volumes to everything rise and fall on leadership. Being that if the leadership lead right in terms of not micromanaging them, allowing them the space to grow, they will definitely grow.
Mhm.
Why, if you actually more like don't give them the leverage, unnecessary exposure, you just more like just train them up for failing, and this is really key. So, what inspire you? What inspire you to create ROB Consulting later and developing on our podcast?
RB Consulting came from, I had done a lot of consulting. I'd worked in a lot of companies. This was back in the 90s, the dot-com boom, as they called it, where there's a lot of startups. And I've seen a lot of companies that just dove into things and didn't really, it was run in first and then come back and think about it. And there's a lot of mistakes made there that had to do with thinking about planning, understanding requirements before you stepped into a project or creating some sort of a product. And I realized that that was something I could help. That was where I could bridge the gap between technology and business and talk to people about, like, let's talk about your business, but then let's integrate that, or let's find where technology can help you in that. And so bridging that gap so people have the information they need, business leaders, entrepreneurs have the information they need to make the right decisions and go out and build the right, have the right solutions built or build them for themselves. RB Consulting came out of that because I really wanted to get ahead of the problem. Too often I would see projects after they had gone off the rails, after they were maybe not failed, but they were definitely struggling. And I could come in and I'd get them back on track. But it's a lot easier to keep it on track than it is to get it back on track. And developers just sort of grew out of that as I did. RB Consulting was just me for many, many years. And I realized that I wanted to find a way to grow that. I needed to, because I can't, one person can only do so much. And some of the other things I'd done, and the learning I'd done through mentor groups and masterminds and some things like that, I realized the value that brought, and decided I wanted to give back, but also to do it in a way that it's actually a little bit self-serving, because the people that I wanted to work with, that I wanted to have as a part of my company, I was able to, with Developreneur, then I can start talking about those kinds of things that matter to the culture of RB Consulting. And I very quickly realized how much I enjoyed it. I enjoy the podcasting. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy mentoring. So it's sort of just, it's one of those that if you're doing what you love, it makes it easy to just keep on doing it.
Wow, this is really amazing. And I think you just make reference of a very key point where you said it's actually the consulting came up owing to the problem you were seeing business facing, being that they actually started out and not knowing what or what is to do differently so that they will avoid the kind of problem they have while later growing up. And it just dawned on me that a whole lot of startup are actually more like just start up with a particular ideas with a particular solution in mind without knowing how to put many things into places, being that they were just curious to solve the problem. So over the years, you have actually helped a whole lot of business to actually help them come out from those bottom line, from those troubles they've been into, owing to they didn't know what it entails when starting out. So what do you think is the basis that the whole lot of entrepreneurs need to know before actually starting out a business, or before actually more like working on a particular ideas that is going to be successful over time? What would be more like a take from you?
Oh, I think for any, it seems like it's sort of the simplest solution, but if you go through business school, one of the things that you do is you end up, part of your graduation, part of your thesis or something like that, is that you define a business, you create a business plan. And I think that, really, respecting the process of building a business plan, of thinking through what is it you're doing, how are you going to do it, getting that on paper, while it seems, I think, often academic to people, because they're like, well, I know the business, I know what I'm going to do. And honestly, like, service industries are probably some of the biggest of that, because where you have skilled labor, where you're doing like plumbing, or you're an electrician or something like that, where you have skills and the skills themselves have value. Then it's like, well, okay, I can, essentially, I can trade my time, my skill for money, and there's a value for that. And it makes it sort of simple in that case, where you're like, okay, my skills are worth X amount. Yeah, if my skill
Yeah.
is worth $1 an hour, I can spend an hour and somebody pays me $1, and that makes it easy. Thinking through how that works in the long run, that's very good for short-term thinking, which is where, and I've been there too, where when we start off businesses, usually we're just like, we just need revenue. So we're going to trade
Yeah.
time for money, and we're going to make that work. But as time goes on, you need to be able to, for one, you probably want to be able to earn more per hour that you give up. Eventually, you want to be able to grow that so that you can bring other people into it, that you can support more customers, that you can get things done better and faster. And that requires a plan. That requires you to step back and say, okay, let me analyze what it is that I do. There may be more to my business, and usually there is, than simply that I have this skill. There's things like finding leads and converting those into customers, and there's billing, and there's invoicing, and there's getting paid, and there's advertising and marketing, and there's all these things that go on that are beyond just the transaction of your business. And I think sitting back and looking at what those things are and how you can, and particularly, I do this with a lot of the customers and people I work with, is we talk through how do we focus on getting the things that you bring the most value. For example, let's say you're skilled, that you're working on those skills, you're utilizing those, you're working, essentially on your business, you're doing the things that bring revenue in versus the things that just need to be done as part of the business. So it's taking the things that are your daily routines and finding out how do we automate those? How do we simplify them? How do we outsource them or whatever we need to do so that the things that will grow your business can be part of your focus. The things like, getting in front of your customers
Yeah,
or making sure that they're happy, going out and marketing and telling people, what you do and things like that. Because you can be the best, whatever you want in the world. You'd be the absolute best electrician in the world. But if nobody knows who you are, you're going to struggle in your business.
so true. I think this is really amazing. Having more like a plan or what to do differently or starting out, it's really such a big leverage, especially in this age at time where there are a whole lot of tools to leverage and to amplify one's voice. So you have worked across industry from startup to large enterprise. What is one big lesson you have learned about people and technology along the way?
I think the one that really drives home in recent years, probably the last 5 to 10 years, is that there is a disconnect between the technologies out there and the people that can use it. There's a lot of, particularly when you get, this is small business startups, entrepreneurs, all the way up to big businesses and C suites and CEOs and things like that. There is still a lack of communication between the business side and the technology side. And I find a lot of times that the business side is trying to solve problems. And they actually goes back to what we first talked about is if they don't actually allow the technology to do what it could do because they've constrained it because they think that it's going to be too expensive, it's going to be too complicated. There's going to be just, they're going to have to go hire an entire IT department to be able to work it. In a lot of cases, that's not true. And if you're a huge business, it's always going to be complex. But solopreneurs, small businesses, even mid-sized businesses, a lot of time, there are very good tools and solutions out there that are affordable for just about any budget. So there's tools out there that you can do that don't even require an IT team now. There's a lot of things that are a lot of automation tools and things like that that are out there that can, with a very little bit of time invested, and sometimes, little or no money invested, you can take some of the things that suck up a lot of your time, automate those, and then that frees you then to tackle whatever the next problem has to be. So I think that's why we have the products that we have, and we have like the focus of our services have become not so much us providing consulting services and building software and things like that, but is really more upfront to just say, let's just do like a technology audit or a technology assessment and sit in front of you and say, like, let's look at what your business is. What do you need to do? What are your big problems? And then where can we find some things, some technology that can help you with those that fit your budget, your time frame, your culture, your environment.
Wow, wow, amazing. Your culture, your environment, your business. I think having those assessments is very key to know what's our tools and what tools fit in perfectly into our business. So many blue collars of business feel technology is too big, too complex. How do you help them simplify and adopt what actually matters?
Usually it is, well, I'll say one thing is there's more than a few blue collar people that I have found that I sort of feel they get the short end of the stick. I think a lot of people assume that they don't understand technology or they can't do it. And sometimes maybe they listen to those lies. But I've met a lot of people that do that, but they're actually very brilliant. They do understand those things. And you just have to sort of get them over the hump a little bit to say, okay, like here, you point them in the right direction and they'll go. They understand it. These are not people they're not afraid of a challenge. They're not afraid of putting the work in. And so really it's just helping guide a little bit. And so typically what'll happen is we'll talk about their business, talk about the things that, like any business actually, that are the biggest time-consuming things, the things that take the most of your time, the things that you are the biggest pain points, the things you like the least to do that draw you away from your customers. And we look at like failures or complaints because as a business owner, you'll typically know like customers are complaining about this, or we're struggling with delivering a product, or we're having trouble scheduling appointments, or whatever some of those problems are that anybody working in the business is going to deal with. You know what those are, so we'll walk through those, highlight those, and say, all right, let's look at some solutions that can help you with that, and that can make that less of a problem or eliminate the problem. And then, that's part of the assessments. We create essentially a roadmap. We call it a roadmap. We create that and say, here's some steps to take. What if you follow these, and we can get you over the hump on these problems, and then we can come back later and we can look at the next round of problems. And just like any business, the best way to do it is just keep working on it, work on just being more efficient, understand the processes that you have, and then find out how to do them better, and your business is going to grow. You're going to find a way, you're going in the right direction at that point.
Wow, wow, this is really, really amazing. Yeah, thank you, Rob. So, what is one low cost or no code improvement?
Small business and large, actually business of all size, technology is here to stay. If you look at now, like AI, everybody is, going all crazy about AI is going to do this and it's going to do that. Technology is going to continue that way. So I think it's here to stay. You need to embrace it. You need to take a look at it. It doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to be part of like everything you do, but it is definitely worth doing a regular review of your business and what you do. Take a look at what's out there, or, like I said, that's why we're here, is find somebody that's a trusted advisor that you can talk to from a consulting point of view for IT to say, okay, well, ask them, what's out there. Even if it's just like you go have a lunch or a networking group or something like that, where you just say like, what are some things that are out there that maybe I should look into, um, as a business owner that can help me out, just occasionally, like whether it's podcasts or websites or something like that, is just spend a lot of time looking at technology podcasts and websites, and figure out, just so you have an idea of what's out there, because that's going to help you know where you can potentially, it's going to spark ideas. It's going to have be a way to suggest where you can solve problems that you would really like to do. And if you're not doing it, your competition is. They're finding ways to use technology to leverage that to get better.
Yeah.
What that's sort of that is the modern business world now.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think it's the fact that a whole lot of AI is coming into being and changing a whole lot of way things have been done, and there are some whole lot of processes which are not needed anymore, which AI can help you, which is more of a big leverage compared to before now. And yeah, starting out especially in those particular field as an early adopter will give you better leverage, compared to other business owner. So there are a lot of fears about AI replacing jobs, but also excitement about its potential. What is your perspective on how can it empower rather than replace?
I think it's gonna cause all of us to raise our level a little bit. I've now gone several times. I've mentioned, and I talked to somebody weeks ago, I guess now, and he mentioned the idea of AI being like an entry level employee, maybe a mid level employee. Which really sort of ring truth to me, because with AI you have to be very specific. You have to take a look at what the work is that's being done, but it can do, as you learn how to communicate with it, it can do things that are very monotonous, repetitive tasks. It can do them very quickly. And honestly, I think one of the biggest areas that there's going to be a great improvement will be skilled, blue collar labor, because what AI does is it will allow you to access some of the things that will help your company and your business grow that you can do yourself. So instead of having like a virtual advisor, or hiring somebody that's a low end, maybe IT web developer, now there are tools that are very quickly getting to the point that you can do some of those things. And I've seen companies where they aren't technical, they aren't software developers, but they can use these no code tools, they can use AI, and they can put together a really nice marketing site. They can put together campaigns, they can do emailing, they can even do some billing and some invoicing and some of those kinds of things that in the past they were going to have to go find somebody and go through all the headaches to get that done. Now they can get a lot of it done themselves. They just need a little bit of guidance. And I think I don't think it's going to replace jobs. I think it's going to more, I guess there may be a few very low end kinds of jobs, but I think they're always the stepping stone jobs anyways. And so people are going to realize that now everybody's going to be more of a like of a manager type or a leader type in a sense because you're managing the AI. And so now it's just going to push all of us, I think, to like take that step a little higher.
Yeah, this is really amazing. I think it's the part that you just make reference, especially for the blue collars entrepreneurs. It's going to better their system, their way they operate run, or it's going to help in those repetitive tasks, which does not speak volumes to delivering the job, especially those follow up, reaching out, and most of those other things, other than doing the main thing, those boring stuff, which sometimes feel overwhelming for a blue collar entrepreneurs. I think this is more like a big win-win, being that you can focus on
Mhm.
the main thing, why AI actually more like handle the boring repetitive task. Yeah, this is really amazing. So from your experience, what separates companies that adopt successfully from those that actually fall behind?
Those are the best ones that have successful adoption of technology and doing that are the ones that, as I said earlier on, that step back a little bit and look at their business, their
The business.
processes, and how they do it. Because if you use technology to do something faster and it's a broken process, then you're just going to break faster and more often. But if you
Mm,
understand the processes and and part of it too, like AI is a really good example of you have to be very detailed in it. You have to make sure that you cover all of the steps that are part of that process. If you do so, then you can use technology to simplify the steps, eliminate them, do them faster. There's a lot of different ways that you can improve a process once you've identified it well, and then you apply technology to it. If you don't spend the time, if you don't respect the idea of going through and talking through your processes and being detailed like that and getting those steps built out, then you're going to miss stuff and you're going to end up, struggling with it. And that's a lot of times that's where software overruns and things like that come in, is that the right questions weren't asked, the right data wasn't presented at the start. And so the problem that was solved was actually not the complete problem,
okay.
or maybe sometimes an incorrect problem because you didn't define it right. And so you went on and you did all this work, and it's not till later that you realize, oh, wait, we missed a step. So we solved the problem, but if that step doesn't get occur, then it doesn't actually solve the problem. So now you have to go back and you have to correct for that. So does take investment. It takes some time, and I'm not talking even money investment. I'm talking mental time investment
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur, as a business leader, as a professional, to say, all right, I'm gonna spend some time and really try to like write down, walk through what it is I do. And sometimes with the technology audit, technology assessment, that's some of the best stuff that comes out of it, is not necessarily the technology recommendation as much as it is going through the process with somebody else of saying, all right, let's talk through this. It's almost like a mental health counseling kind of thing where sometimes, or just any problem solving. I think we've all had those where we talk through it, and just in talking through it and getting it out there, suddenly we were like some light bulbs come on and we
Yeah.
go, oh, wait, as I'm explaining it, now I have a way forward. I'm getting unblocked.
This is very, very key, especially as you make reference of the fact that those who adopt it earlier, they have better leverage, they have better system, and they wouldn't fall victim of a whole lot of setback that before a lot of startup. Why actually starting out, being that owing to the automation, they were able to answer those questions, which was not that very much like a big demand when they actually started out, but it could actually help them to be able to follow through the particular ideas to know what could be done differently. Yeah, amazing. So you have mentored countless developers and leaders. What do you believe make a great team builder?
The best ones are the ones that realize that it's about the team and it's not really about the leader as much. It's really is about empowering the team to do their jobs the best. It's removing obstacles. Can't remember where I originally saw that, but the best managers remove obstacles from their team so the team can do the work. And you think about it, really, managers are, the people that do the work usually are at the, sort of the bottom of the level. And then there's a manager that's supposed to be there helping them do their work better. That's what leaders do, is they're saying, you know what, it's not about me doing it. It's about me finding ways to free you to be you better, to do your job better. And those are the best leaders, are the ones that Yeah, there's a lot of buzzwords and that around it about empowering your employees and things like that. It really does come into it. It's like a leader. I think some of the best leaders are, in a sense, almost invisible. They're sort of like behind the scenes. Is that they really they're showing off the team that they're doing things with the team is. Those are the ones that are getting the accolades that are being seen for all the stuff they do, and the leader is back there just helping to make sure that they are the best version of them that they can be.
Wow, amazing. Thanks a whole lot for this, Rob. So finally, what is your advice to business owner listening who feel stuck, knowing that they need the modernizations, but not knowing where to start?
The self-serving one is like, give us a call, shoot us an email. But I think it really is. It's just you have to start somewhere. And so I think the easiest way to start goes back to the most important step, which is go with what you know, is step back and walk through what is your process, because that's part of what should happen anyways. Whenever you actually, if you're trying to add technology in, or if you're trying to improve your business, if you're going to go talk to somebody else about it and get somebody else to solve those problems, you need to define them first. So think about your business, the challenges that you have, write those things down. Get yourself a short list of these are the things, if I could wave a magic wand and fix this, what are the top 3 things that I would do that would make the biggest impact on my business? When you go through those kinds of processes, and sometimes it becomes easily available, but if it's not something where you look at it, you're like, oh, I could do this and solve this problem, then you can reach out, whether it's to a consultant, sometimes just like a Google search or a Bing search or something like that, or AI, and just say, hey, here's a problem. What are some ways to solve it? And now you're going to start getting some feedback, and then you can, AI, obviously you got to be, and even searching, you got to be a little bit, you have to be cautious, because not everything out on the internet is true, and AI is really just sucking stuff in from the internet, but it will give you some ideas. And sometimes those are ideas where you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then go ahead and give it a shot. But if not, then at least it will hopefully put you in the right direction to say, I can't, but I know how to get a hold of somebody that will help me figure out how to solve that problem. But yeah, you start with like, get that list of what I need to fix. And these are the things that'll help me the most. And then that is just, I found that once you start doing that, and then you're like, okay, I've got this list. You're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner. Those kinds of things are the things that will weigh on you. So you see that list of things to do, you're going to go do it. So you're going to find a way to get there, and that is a great first step.
Wow, that was really amazing. And thanks for actually giving that. So, Rob, I'm glad we're able to have this conversation. How can my audience connect with you? How can they know more about you, about your business, and what is the best platform to reach out and respect of your business and to connect with you?
Directly for RB Consulting, our website is rb-sns.com. That's RB in a hyphen, sns.com. You can shoot me an email, rob at rb-sns.com. I'd be happy to talk to anybody, or point people in the right direction from a technology assessment point of view or consulting. But also, if you just want to learn a little more about technology and ways that you can apply technology, the Developreneur podcast, also building better developers. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can go find it there. Also, you can go out to our site, develpreneur.com, developreneur.com. And we have contact forms. We've got links for all of our content. We have a YouTube channel. There's a lot of stuff out there. So, and it's very, we do get very technical at times, but it is also more than often that we'll have stuff that's really more business and entrepreneur oriented. That I think is, our goal is to keep it very accessible to non-technical business owners to get an idea of where they can go in solving some of those problems.
Wow, wow, amazing. Thank you, Rob. This has been such a rich and practical conversations. You have shown that technology isn't just for the big corporations. It's a tool that can help any business grow smarter, faster, and stronger. So, our listener, if you like to explore how to make your business more efficient and future ready, visit rb slash sns.com and check out Rob's technology assessments. Definitely, it's going to be on the show notes. Rob, thank you for being here. And to everyone tuning in, remember, growth starts with small intentional steps. This is the Aro Benaiah Show. Keep building, keep improving, and keep leading with hands and with your hearts. Once again, it's really a pleasure having you on the show, Rob.
Thanks a lot. It was great being here.